Elevated Potato. Thank you for the subscription. Never considered elevating a potato before, but I'm never going to consider it, actually. I'm sorry. Even though you're subscribing to me, I'm still not going to elevate my potatoes. I like my potatoes level. Thank you very much. This week, we're having Au Rotten Potatoes, which my wife tells me is not pronounced Au Rotten Potatoes. Because when I say I'd rather have Au Fresh Potatoes, she usually gets a little, are you serious? Where's this music from? The Blue Bomber. Shut up, Nito. Lily. Icy King. Pancakes or waffles? Does it really matter? You literally make them the same way. I mean, they're the same exact ingredients I found out recently. The Red Rocker? What? I'm not a Sox fan? Where did that come into play? Who said just because I'm a Cubs fan that I wouldn't be a fan of the Sox? Red, white, or otherwise. But no, I'm not a Sox fan. Red, white, or otherwise. Waffles are infinitely easier to make than pancakes. I mean, I don't think pancakes are that hard to make either, but literally all you do is just pour the batter into the waffle thing, you close it, and when the button says it's done, you lift it up. I mean, you gotta spray like little non-stick Pam on there, but yeah, it's like, okay, the hotel ones are a little more complicated. You gotta close them and then twist them, and you also gotta like get your batter down into a little sippy cup or whatever in case you wanted to take a shot of the waffle batter instead of cooking it. So the hotel ones are a little bit different from actual normal human waffles maker stuff. Yeah, go off-site to eat breakfast at Low Tide City. There's a Denny's close by. Or don't stay at the hotel. If you have a vehicle, stay off-site. Get the crappy breakfast they serve. The continental breakfast. What continent did you get this from? Antarctica? Triton, that's Bubble Man from Mega Man 2. Da-na-na-na-na-na. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify. While you are bringing Vanilla Sploosh into your X-Rank matches, failing to stream the live reunion of your dating show, calling out teams for using a comp you don't approve of just hours before they win with that comp in low ink. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Hey, I'm here. I've had a busy morning. It's been a slightly rushed day for me. I'm doing some training out of town, and some other people are staying at the actual site. And I asked my boss, like, can I commute? Like, I don't want to do that. Can I just commute? So I got back here literally. As soon as I got back here, I hit live on the stream. I had everything already done last night because I knew it was going to be a little bit late getting back here. Hi, Triton. But we got back here in time. We hit live. This might be a little bit rushed, and everything you're about to hear is something that last night's version of Pop Gun wrote down. And I don't always agree with what last night version of Pop Gun usually says or does with these things, but we'll roll with it. I don't care, and you guys don't either, so we'll just roll with that. News of tournaments may be of interest to the casual listener of the Popcast. This Saturday is the Girls Duo Cup that is going to be hosted by Dapple Productions. I don't know if they do the thing where they close registration a week ahead of time so that they can put teams together, or if registration is still open. Regardless, you can still watch it. Anyways, even if you cannot register for it anymore, or even if you still can, there might still be a thing where there's going to be somebody who drops and then they'll need emergency subs. I'd be surprised if they didn't have some sort of system in place for that. But Girls Duo Cup, yeah, make sure you support that. It's a cool thing we have in this community. For those of you who play Improving Grounds, which is a surprising number of low ink teams, I find every single other week that we run that, it is not going to be this Friday. We want to leave that date open for Ink TV to do their thing. We don't want to try to conflict with them. They would destroy us anyways. They're getting 650 plus people watching their streams on a Thursday night. So we're not going to mess with that. Proving Grounds is going to be on this upcoming Saturday. It's still single elimination, mind you. I just you guys are aware of that. You keep signing up for it. I thought for sure Proving Grounds would be dead and gone when we decided to switch to single elimination. For some oddball reason, it's been even better than ever before. So you guys are crazy, but I'm more than happy to keep running it in that format, and we'll do it. So sign up. It's on Saturday. Today, we are going to be recapping Low Ink, Gamma, Beta, Alpha, Swiss stage, and all the good stuff that happened in between, and all the not so bad stuff that happened in between either. We're covering all of it today. But first, oh man, I love the old format. I love it when we don't have to do top 32 into the single limb alpha and beta. I love that. Now, when the numbers get to be a certain point, we have no choice but to do that. But I love it when we can just do 2 Swiss groups, double elimination alpha, double elimination beta, and just go on our day. It's so much easier to run on our end. Seeding is a lot easier, or I should say entering you guys into the groups is a lot easier because we don't need 4 different people. We just need 2. You seed this one, you seed that one. It's a lot easier to do. Obviously, setup for Sunday is a lot easier. We don't have to create a bracket in the middle of Sunday once group stage is done, which I have a really good formula of how we translate you guys out of top 32 into alpha and beta, and I get that done as quick as possible. It's still annoying to do. It's a lot easier just to set up a double limb, boom, hit go, and everything's fine. Before we get into the results, though, and some other talking points from this tournament, I want to address the drops that took place on Saturday and Sunday morning, because it was a bit of a major issue. We had a total between both days, 34 teams drop once the tournament started. If that sounds like a number I made up, it's because I did. I did not actually do the research to figure out how many teams dropped on both days because, well, honestly, I don't really care. But it was still a substantial number of teams that dropped. And I don't want to sit here and talk about this all day long. But I do got some theories on why this happened on both each different day. And there are at least some talking points that I find interesting. And when I find something interesting, I'm going to talk about it, and you guys are forced to listen. Or not. I'm sure somebody else is streaming right now. You can come back a little bit later when we get into the more interesting stuff. So day one, there were not a lot of subs this time around. There were not a lot of people that signed up to put in sub applications to play in this lowing. For whatever reason, I think we probably could have done a better job of promoting that as an option. There's a lot of times where people are like, I don't know, I don't have a team, but I want to play in low ink. And it's like, well, if you put in a sub application, you're going to have a list of teams begging you, literally begging you to play for them in the tournament there. It was kind of weird at the beginning of Saturday, though, because there were a lot of teams asking for subs, and I know for a fact that a lot of teams or a lot of subs did not play for other specific teams, for whatever reason. It was just kind of weird that that we had a lot of teams asking for subs, and I knew like none of them were coming to the help desk and be like, hey, here's the player that we found in the sub channel. I just assume that subs are starting to be a little bit picky with who they want to play with, which so be it. Some of you teams that are desperate for subs are really ungrateful when it comes to the subs that you actually get. When you get somebody that subs for you, that person is bailing you out. They're giving you a chance to at least escape Saturday so that you can go into Sunday with your actual roster. And some of you do a really bad job of making that person feel welcomed or not, you make them out to be the scapegoat for when things don't do well. People notice that. And word starts to spread about you, and you become a team that nobody really wants to sub for. So if you're a team that's constantly asking for subs and nobody's responding to you, there might be a reason for that. And you might want to try to fix some of your own problems, because there are subs talk to each other. Word gets around when you guys are disrespectful to the subs that come in and save you from being eliminated from the tournament. So that might be a reason. The biggest issue, though, from day one is the teams that waited until the tournament actually started. 1:01 Eastern Standard Time before they admitted to us that they could not find a sub and they needed to drop. 8 teams dropped during round 1. Most of them dropped at the very beginning of it. That is not acceptable. That is absolutely not acceptable. And just allow me to vent a little bit here. When you guys tweet out things like that we love our TOs. We support our TOs whenever somebody's being a douchebag to a TO on Twitter. That is appreciated. That is respected. Other TOs all see that stuff and they love it. And it doesn't fall on deaf ears. However, being supportive of a TO doesn't just mean that you're not a douchebag to them. It also means that you have some player etiquette, that you provide back to the tournament that you're signing up for, instead of making the overall tournament worse. When you sign up for a tournament and you don't wait for the last possible moment to let us know that you have to drop by the time that we've already seeded you into the tournament, and we've already gone out of our way to make sure that you're ready to play and that your round one opponent is found. For 8 matches not to play in round one because teams didn't drop when they should have dropped is flat out unacceptable, and that's bad player conduct. And now look, it goes both ways. You guys are more than welcome to be critical of us. We're going to defend ourselves when we know we're right, because we're not going to just sit there and let you be critical of us in unfair situations. But we should be allowed to be critical of you guys when you drag down the tournament experience for everybody because your player etiquette just flat out sucks. There's some thoughts in my mind for what we can do going forward to make sure that we can get that this doesn't become an issue going forward yet again. But so be it. So be it. It's going to happen. The day 2 drops, however. Here is my theory. In the 128 team format that we ran, which was the 2 groups with the 16 team alpha double elimination format, with the amount of teams that you have in that one, with the 128 team thing, it gets a little bit weird. Because if you were to have 129 teams, then we have to do the 4 Swiss group top 32 thing. At that point, the number of teams that can qualify into Sunday that still have an opportunity to win the tournament is 32 teams versus the format we ran yesterday, which was 16 teams. So even if you have 128 teams, the percentage of them that still have a chance to win the tournament on day 2 versus having 200 teams, the percentage of them that are available to win the tournament, it's still higher with 200 teams than with 128. So what I'm getting at is, even though a 200 team low ink has more teams in it, in 128 teams low ink, it's still a lot more difficult to qualify. There's still less percentage of teams qualifying for alpha bracket than there are in the bigger tournament. So what you get in a tournament that's on the borderline of it could be just one more team and we do this format versus one less team, we do the other format. You get a format where it's a little bit smaller and you get a lot more teams that have the opportunity to win the tournament that don't, and they fall down to beta. I think only 3 teams. I think Photic Zone was the only team out of their group, and then I think 2 teams from the other group went 4-2 and made alpha bracket. So basically, if you lost twice, that was almost an automatic guarantee that you weren't going to make alpha bracket because there's so many teams and only 16 get to move on. So what happens is you get a lot of teams that are signing up for this tournament where their only option is to win the tournament outright. Or the only reason they're signing up for this tournament is to win it. Anything short of that is a failure. And they lost twice, and the opponent win percentage wasn't super insanely high, so it didn't work out into their favor, and they had to bow out. It's frustrating. I get it. This isn't a new concept. People dropping because they didn't get into alpha bracket. I've said it before, and I'll say this again. I'm never going to condone teams doing that. Even if your goal is to eventually win low ink, playing beta bracket or even playing gamma bracket still has a lot of value for you. There's still something you can get out of doing those kinds of brackets. Yes, you don't get any kind of, like an SAC, you don't get any points like if you're to win a silver bracket there, and you don't get any, notoriety, and you're not going to be crazy excited about winning a beta bracket if it's not the bracket that you're going for. You're still getting more experience and grinding against other low ink teams that are still crazy strong, because beta bracket is always loaded with really strong teams in it. So I don't condone teams doing that. At the same time, I'm not going to condemn it. I I played this game competitively for a long time. I get it. I totally get it. If you're signing up for a tournament and you fall short of your own expectations, it's like, do we really want to play the next day when we don't really care what it is that we get? Like, I 100% understand that. So I'm not going to I don't think there needs to be any punishment for teams that don't play out Sunday just because it's a tournament a bracket that they didn't get. But just as like a personal note here, if you made a commitment to play a 2-day tournament and you qualified for the second day, I think you should just play it out. Or at least give us more of a heads up that you're going to drop instead of waiting until the final minute. I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't like it when it happens as a TO, but as a player, I kind of understand it. But it is what it is. Is the number of drops that we had between day 1 and 2 so unorthodox? I don't know. I just wanted to at least mention my theories on why it happened on both days. And the day 1 stuff, we're going to fix that. There's going to be... We made a little mental note of every team that kind of did that in round 1. We're going to make sure we get that fixed going forward. Because that worsens the tournament experience for everybody. It's not really fair. So let's talk about some cool stuff here. Once again, Loink proves to be insanely unpredictable. The top 4 teams that finished in this tournament, Squid Strikes, Zero Luck Found, Octopi, and Sea Drive, all played in their first alpha bracket this weekend, and they finished in the top 4. You can't predict this stuff anymore. I really need to change my top 10s. I really need to change that. It doesn't need to be the top 10 teams who I think are going to win low ink. It now just needs to become like the top 10 teams that have done well enough that are low ink eligible this month and deserve a little bit of recognition before they get upset by somebody you've never heard of 2 days from now. That's really what it needs to become, because predicting who's going to win low ink is impossible. I am a panelist for Ink TV, and we do our predictions every week. I'm now 4-0 after week 1 of my predictions, and I'm about to be 8-0 after week 2. Week 3, I might have to do a little coin flip because I think some of those matches go either way. But I'm going to be 8-0. You can predict at the highest level of competitive Splatoon. It's very easy to determine who's going to win and who doesn't. And if you really fail at those predictions, you're trying to be a little too edgy, in my opinion. But low level, it's impossible to try to figure any of this stuff out. My theory with this, and yes, the comp that Squid Strikes used. Oh gosh. Do we need to go into this? Because truly anything goes in this tournament, right? In any competition, it comes down to these 2 things in a specific order. Skill level first, strategy second. If you were to, and this goes for any kind of competition, if you play me in something and I'm just flat out better than you, I'm going to beat you 9 times out of 10. Skill issue. Like any sport. That's just how it is. High school football, you could be the most incredible coach ever. If the other team's got players that are faster than yours, you auto lose. There's nothing you can do about that. Now, when skill level is slightly even, maybe it's you're just a hair better than the other team. That's where strategy comes into play. And that's what makes low ink so interesting for a lot of people. It's because the skill cap, whether you think it's too high or it might be too low after we saw yesterday, the point is every team that plays an alpha bracket is always right with each other. So it's not really a skill issue between most of those matches. It comes down to a strategy issue. What is your comp going to be? What are your counter picks going to be? How do you make adjustments on the fly when you go up against your opponent? Squid Strikes. Let's talk about these guys for a second, because we'll talk about them a little bit more going forward. Their strategy was to use Sploosh and I believe at some point use Dynamo. And as some people pointed out on Twitter yesterday, well, this isn't going to work when they get to mid-level. First off, mid-level is not a real thing. It doesn't actually exist. Conversation for another day. Stay focused. More importantly, I don't know who needs to hear this, but yes, Squid Strikes is not going to win an SOS anymore or anytime soon. They're not going to win a Squid Junction. I assume they're not going to win a Proving Grounds, but crazy things have happened in Proving Grounds, so maybe they'll win that at some point. It's not because of the comp that Squid Strikes is using. It's because the skill that Squid Strikes is currently playing at. The comp has nothing to do with it. They're eligible for low ink, or they were 24 hours ago. Their skill level is not high enough to be winning a quote-unquote mid-level tournament. How is that breaking news to anybody? It doesn't matter what comp they use. They could use the meta, or they could use the comp they used yesterday. And by the way, I will never understand this, because people are being critical of Squid Strikes for going off meta. Do you know what would have happened if they used a meta comp? People would have been critical of that too. What? It doesn't matter what comp that you use. Somebody's going to go on Twitter and complain it's either too meta or it's too off meta. Can somebody please explain to me what comp you're allowed to use without anybody bitching about what you do like it's their business, whatever comp you want to decide to use? Let's just be honest about this. You guys don't care what kind of comp somebody else uses. The only thing you guys have a problem with is when somebody is more successful than you. That's it. It don't tell me it's anything otherwise, because if we're going to complain about people using the meta and people not using the meta, then the comp isn't the issue. It comes down to the fact that we just don't like it when people are successful. There is a word for that. Hold on. I think I got it right here. The word for not liking it when people are successful. Oh, here it is. It's called being a hater. There you go. Let's take that aside, because Squid Strikes' strategy, yes, it was good enough to win low ink. And if they'd used the meta, maybe they would have destroyed it a little bit quicker, but who really cares? But the beauty of low ink is that the competitive skill cap or whatever in alpha bracket is so close to each other. Strategy is so huge. You don't have to use the meta to win, but as long as your idea makes sense, then it's going to help you win in that tournament. Now, is it going to help you win going forward? Probably not. But what is the point of low ink? All these teams going 1-5 and 2-4 this last weekend. Here's the point. They learned something. They got their ass beat pretty badly on Saturday, but they learned, this strategy we used that really works in scrims, all of a sudden it doesn't work against this team that's better than us. You learn from that. You make adjustments, you get better, and you move forward. That's what low ink has been doing from teams regardless of where they finish at the end of Saturday or at the end of Sunday. You learn, you grow, you get better, and you climb up the ladder slowly, step by step, or div by div, if you want to wait every single once a year when those Ludi divs come out. So yes, Squid Strikes will eventually figure out, they'll run into a team that will expose how their sploosh comp doesn't work. You know what they're going to do? They're going to make adjustments, because Squid Strikes literally was making adjustments in the middle of the tournament. Remember their opening on Rainmaker Manta Maria against Octopi. They ran Crack on Roller. They started off by setting up beacons, and by the time they built up their base, there's a hammer running right through, and they're getting destroyed, and they almost lose that match at the very beginning. What do? They counterpick that map against a different team later, use the same exact comp, don't put any beacons down. Instead, rush towards mid. They make the adjustment, and all of a sudden, they're the team that's about to dunk the Rainmaker at the very beginning. These guys were learning as the tournament's going on, and that's the whole point of all of this. Yes, maybe the ultimate answer is at some point all of you are going to learn that splash, crab, machine, maybe throw in a stamper if you want to be a little funny, is the ultimate answer for what the meta is right now. Who cares though? Allow people to learn and grow at their own pace. That's the whole point of what Low Inc is about. And this tournament provides the opportunity for teams across all skill levels to do exactly that. Low Inc is like high school. You get to graduate at some point, whether you win, you're the valedictorian, or you get banned because, well, you're a senior and you need to kind of go off and get started with your real life or whatever. Some people go to college after they graduate from high school. And for a lot of people, they're going to realize real quick that college was a mistake. College is not for everybody. My generation was told that you need to go to college, and when you graduate, you're going to get a high-paying job. That is not the case. We found out really quickly that was a whole bunch of bull crap. But college sucks for a lot of people, especially when you're starting to get into it. And some people will get through college and they'll be all right. Other people will drop out. It's fine. That doesn't mean the lessons you learned in Low Inc aren't applicable to other things you do in your life. Whether you continue on into the quote-unquote mid-level college, and then or whatever other esports you want to go into. That's the beauty of this tournament. And that's why you guys keep coming back. There was a highlighted message. Fantastic solution. Register and check into the Low Inc with 5 players ready. Okay, so I understand teams not having 5 players ready. It's frustrating when, like, oh, this is the 4 players we're going to have, but when we need one person, hey, can you just make yourself available in case we need you? Like, if we don't need you, then you're just going to sit there and do nothing. Like, I subbed for a team once just as a standby person. I thought I was going to play. And they didn't need me to play, and it's like, well, I could have just subbed for somebody else that could have played. So I understand teams not having 5 or 6 players ready to go, but yeah, it's still in a dream world, it'd be really helpful. Why did players get DQ'd in the middle of a tournament? Is that really all you guys care about? I'll say this: we do secondhand. It's like a second wave of verification on Saturday night sometimes, so we miss stuff. It's I think it's been quite often, well, not quite often, but it's not uncommon for us to ban people after Saturday, after we'd be like, oh, we didn't catch that, we'll fix it now, kick you out, easy fix. It's a very easy fix. Just say, oop, we missed it, our bad. With 800 people that played this last tournament, somebody's going to slip through the cracks. We catch it, we ban them, and we move on. Everybody, well, I'm happy. I don't think everybody is. Not me using my unborn son new book to look up the word hater. Can we just spend the rest of this podcast showing you guys all the clothes that we have for our son? Like, my son is never going to wear the same brand of clothing 2 days in a row. Like, this is going to be the bougiest baby you've ever seen. Too bad. This is the Popcast, not the Papa-cast. We're talking about Splatoon. Oh, hold on. I knew there was something I forgot to do. I forgot to pull up the other thing. My kid would never do that. He would never do me like that. All right. No more baby talk. Time for the stuff you guys don't want to hear about, but suck it up anyways. It's time for the weekly recap. SOS number 105 was won by Pickup. That is a team of Luke, Kiwi, Caden, and Sleepy. Hey, Sleepy, you actually got your name on the roster this time around, so I'll give you a little bit of acknowledgement. Of course, you're not here listening to it this time around, but whatever. Team finished in second place was Despair Eternal. My goodness, come up with a more happier name. It's springtime. Third place, Tatsugeri. The 105th edition of SOS. And no server maintenance, no Splatoon 2. Everything ran hunky-dory there. Hammerhead was won by Catnip. Mako Bracket was won by Secret Elixir. And Lantern Bracket was won by Duck and Cover. Squid Junction number 41 was won by Soccer Moms. And I would love to tell you who played for Soccer Moms. Oh, hi, Sleepy. I would love to tell you who played for Soccer Moms. But on Battlefy, they all changed their name to generic 40-year-old white women. So we're just going to skip over that. Soccer Moms actually won this. Dream Lantern, not from Lantern Bracket, but just a team called Dream Lantern, which was mostly the players that was on Pickup that won SOS 105. Are you picking up on all this? They finished in second place. And even more confusing, the team that finished in third place was Mangoes, except the G in Mangoes was capitalized to make you think it's Man Goss from Crushed Soda. However, Goss was not on this roster at all, so I don't even know what's going on with Squid Junction, or SOS for that matter, but these are words that I'm just reading out loud. I did see that Mangoes had Apple who was formerly of Deep Fried excuse me. The Deep Fried Octolings. And I wanted to give that a bit of a shout out. Ink TV week number 1. Starburst beat up on Graveyard Shift. Jackpot beat up on Nightmare. Gave them a little bit of a welcome to the big boy club initiation there. Yikes. Crushed Soda somehow was able to stay in the lobby long enough to beat Zero Depth. And Alliance Rogue was able to clip the ping ones there. No surprises, DC issues all across the board. By the way, correct me if I'm wrong, we didn't have a single DC on stream in Low Ink, whereas you couldn't go a game without there being a DC in every single match in Ink TV. I don't really know what's going on with that. I'm not a tech person. I have no idea if there's anything to glean from that. But there was, at least Low Ink was fine, so at least we could get through that. I was really worried about that. Nightmare experiencing some growing pain, so be it. They're still legit. Pig One looks like they got a little bit of potential, but this is a mostly predictable week 1, and I think week 2 is going to be pretty predictable as well, Thursday and Friday of this week. Jackpot's going to be taking on Zero Deaths. Alliance Rogue's going to be taking on Graveyard Shift. That will at least be interesting. Starburst will be taking on the Penguins, and Nightmare will try their luck against Crushed Soda. The Collegiate Cephalopod Association. This is the semifinals week. In Div 1, Division 1 is planning to play back-to-back semifinals and final marathon, kind of like Div X did the past season with of Ludi. So be it. Who turned off the music? Thank you. Div 2, San Diego State University got a 5-0 win over UC Berkeley, the Squids of Cal. Florida Gulf Coast University, the Thunderbirds, got a 5-0 win over the Maryland College Park team. No, I think Maryland beat Florida Gulf Coast. I got tripped up reading it. The winner got placed in the second slot instead of the first one. Yes, Maryland won that one. All right, I actually got to pay attention here. Div 3, University of Texas Austin, the Nightfall team, got a 5-3 win over the University of Texas Austin Daybreak team. So Nightfall superior to Daybreak in that Battle of the Longhorns right there. The University of Oklahoma Crimson, OU Crimson took on the University of Florida Storm Cells in Division 4. Florida won that one 5-2. Looks like Irene Valley College, the Diamond Rays, got a 5-0 win over the Purdue Bash team as well. Div 5, Coastal Carolina University got a 5-1 win over the Illinois State University Redbird Splatoon. That's Red Beach Splatoon, actually. VCU lost to Bradley University. The Life Could Bradley Dream. Oh, come on. 5-2. Div 6, New York Polytech Institute got a 5-2 win over Northern Arizona University. In Div 7, Farmingsdale State College, 5-2 over Kutztown University. And Rowan University got a 5-0 win over Drexel. That was semifinals. That means finals is going to be next week. That information provided, as always, by Smiley Riley. And that was your weekly recap. Sponsored by the JPEG Mr. Beast Burger Player of the Match Award. If you're looking to come up with a sponsor off the top of your head to name the player of the match, what better way to do it than to talk about the one thing that JPEG used to always order during tournaments in Staff VC until JPEG realized, I guess, they were too expensive or not good enough to whatever. I didn't even know Mr. Beast burgers were a thing, or much less a Mr. Beast pose. But I'm learning. I'm assimilating to you Zoomers. The JPEG Mr. Beast Burger Player of the Match Award, the official sponsor of today's episode of the Weekly Recap. Shoutouts to Sleepy for listening in on the Low Ink Popcast. I'll give you a VIP thing if I actually knew how to do that. Oh. You're 4-0 in your Ink TV predictions. Not too hard to be 4-0. Soccer Moms was Sleepy, Home, Dillard, and Grape. Fair enough. I just saw somebody was named Karen, and I was like, whatever. Let's talk about the winners from Saturday. Then we'll look at Gamma, Beta, Alpha, and then we'll call it a day. My winners include Conductor Cap Incorporated. This team went 4-2, getting key wins over Team Fanta Manta, the Whip Rays, and Surf and Turf. Okay, so somebody's got to tell me what's going on here, because Conductor Cap Incorporated and Octopi have the same exact team tags. And it's not like it's something that could, it's like, oh, this is such a generic thing. It could be anything, like Starburst just being SB. No, like, they're the same exact thing. Are they like the same team? What's going on here? I literally, when we put them on stream, I literally thought Octopi changed their team name somehow after we seeded them on Battlefy to Conductor Cap Incorporated, until I realized that no, Octopi is still playing in this tournament. So I was like, what is going on here? Hey, they did pretty good. They went 4-2. The Origami Dragons went 4-2, getting some key wins over Schmirk, Distinct, Second Try, and Inkception. A tough little run for Origami Dragons as they were able to qualify for Gamma Bracket with a 4-2 result. You had to be really scrappy to qualify for Sunday this time around. And Origami Dragons will never drop when they qualify for Sunday. They appreciate making that run. The Whip Rays went 3-3, getting some key wins over Hellbound. Aren't we all? Shellouts and Day Old Sushi. They booted up DOS. The Gamma Bracket for the Whip Rays with their 3-3 result. Nicely done there. Ink Black. And I forgot to ask Mizuno and Smiley Riley what university Ink Black represents, because this is a college team. They went 4-2, getting key wins over Hype Heroes, Arcadia, Aquatic Vanguard, and Calamity Forge Neo. These guys made Beta Bracket back in January. They went 4-2 this time around and made Beta Bracket, I believe, yet again. Yes, they did. They're a Div 1 collegiate CCA team, actually. I'll have to figure out what university they represent, though. Ink Black could mean anything. Matter of Opinion went 6-0 in this tournament, getting key wins over Overtime, Last Wish, Zero Luck Found, Photic Zone, and KO Calamari. Matter of Opinion being a new team, I believe, from Germany. I want to guess from what I was seeing. And if you want a better name for this team, just go by what their Twitter says. Team Moo. Matter of Opinion. Moo. They should have a cow as their logo. That'd be pretty cool. Joe Cephalopod Joe Starfish. Is that a JoJo's reference? They went 4-2, getting key wins over Krill Streak, Trip Hazard, Ink Drinkers, and Phosphor. I believe I'll be talking about a little bit more of JoJo going forward. Unless I don't, as I'm looking up ahead here. I might or might not. Regardless, I said this on Friday, and it was true. JoJo's going to play a lot better in low ink than they ever will in Little Squid League because there's no pressure on them in low ink. It showed right here. 4-2, getting some quality wins there. The Night Sharks, another college team. I know where these guys are from. The University of Central Florida. They went 5-1, getting key wins over JoJo, Revelation, Ikarioku. Hey, the Night Sharks actually played. I thought they were going to drop like they usually do. The 1 month where everybody drops is the 1 month where the Night Sharks don't, and they go 5-1. These guys are going to win the tournament by the end of the year if they actually play all the way through. Ink Black is from Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU. Thank you, Mini Epiphany. Thank you so much. I will actually make a note of that right now. By the way, I always have my IPL pin. This is just mostly here for show. I never really write things in the middle. So right there, I got it. Nicely done, Night Sharks, by the way. Eminence Phantom went 5-1, getting key wins. Well, they had 2 buys. This is why 2 of their 5 wins came from, because people kept dropping. They did beat Zomerzite, the Ink Drinkers, and Final Reckoning, though, finding their way back into Alpha Bracket 2 months in a row. The Final Reckoning was the team that knocked them out of Alpha Bracket last month, so they got a little bit of revenge of them in a best-of-3 Swiss stage. Nicely done, Eminence Phantom. The Bin Thick Brigade. We've all been there. They went 5-1 in this tournament. They got key wins against the Final Reckoning, Eminence Phantom, Revelation, Photic Zone as well. That is a murderer's row of teams that Bin Thick Brigade had to play against, and they beat them all. Went 5-1. Are these guys a top 10 team going forward? I feel like they should be. You get kind of results like that. I believe they made Alpha Bracket 2 months in a row now. They've at least been in top 32 for a while. The Bin Thick Brigade's pretty legit. How about a shout out to Krill Streak, who won, I believe, a single game last time they played in low ink. This time they went 3-3, getting key wins against the Respawn Reapers, the Cambrian Explosion, and Internal Kraken. All right. Krill Streak making a little bit of a jump up this time around. I forget if they actually made a bracket or not. It doesn't matter. They still got improvement. They're shaking off the rust. It looks like they did not get one. Why, man, with all those teams dropped, why couldn't we just put Krill Streak in there? They would have played. They would never drop on us. Rapid Ascent. Another team with an exclamation point in their name. Rapid Ascent went 4-2, getting key wins over Saddle Up Seahorses, Seasick, Umami, and Audentes. I believe this is a new team made up of some low ink veteran players going 4-2 in their first low ink. Nicely done to them. The biggest winner, though, from the Swiss stage goes out to our old pals Hydra, who went 5-1, getting key wins over the Conductor Cap Incorporated, Refresh, Inception, Calamity Forge, Neo, and From the Deep. When I looked at Alpha Bracket, I was surprised to see Hydra there, because it's not that they're not a Hydra-capable team. We just haven't seen them play at that level in a long, long time. So for them to go 5-1 in their Swiss group in a very competitive tournament where it was really difficult to win 5 games is noteworthy. Nicely done to Hydra there. My favorite thing, that's wrong. That was the wrong thing. You want to steam my face a little bit still. And the idiots in chat. My favorite thing about the format that we used, I like Delta Bracket. I like Epsilon Bracket. It's nice. But when it comes time to break them down here on the Popcast the next day, all I got to do is 3 of these things. Makes writing these episodes a lot easier. So let's take a look at Gamma Bracket. The teams I want to mention here. I want to mention Last Wish to start things off. The team that, can we zoom in a little bit? I know it's hard to see for you guys. So Last Wish is the team that finished in second place here. And I forgot who Last Wish was because it didn't really do that impressive. They went 3-3. I had to look them up. Last month they went 5-1. And they made top 32. I think they got bounced down the beta bracket pretty quickly. But when you look at who Last Wish played against, they had a really tough schedule. They had to play the Final Reckoning and Matter of Opinion in their Swiss group. That's kind of why they went 3-3. They basically had to play Alpha Bracket and Swiss, which when there's only 2 Swiss groups, the likelihood of you playing monsters is way higher. Which makes the 2 Swiss groups a lot more difficult to get out of. So Last Wish is definitely an alpha capable team. They just had a bad Saturday. Just had a tough schedule and couldn't find ways to get wins. Still, a very impressive run all the way through here, showing that they didn't really need to be in this bracket. Karioku didn't need to be here either. These are 2 really strong teams playing it out. But I just wanted to point out Last Wish is they're a lot better than this, and they played some tough teams in this one. Aquatic Vanguard and Audentes, both AV teams, both of whom are alpha contenders. I had Aquatic Vanguard as my number 10 team. That was still fair to do. Audentes has been in the top 10 before, but they've been kind of shaky during Saturdays. But this is why I urge you guys to play through the bracket. Even if you don't have if it's not alpha, you can't win the whole tournament. You still get to play tough opponents here. Aquatic Vanguard's here. These guys really don't give a damn what bracket they're in. I mean, yes, they would love to make alpha, but these guys play every single time they make a gamma or a beta. They've already won this bracket. They won beta bracket. They're still out here. They're still trying to farm gamma and beta. That's going to work out for them eventually. I give them shout out. Same thing with Adentes. I believe these 2 teams ended up playing against each other, and Dentes getting the better end, proven to be the superior AV team, at least for now, finishing in 3rd place in this bracket. Overtime is the other team I want to give a quick shout out to. Overtime losing to Second Try at the very beginning of the tournament. Made a little bit of a loser's run here, getting 3 straight wins before taking 1 game off of Adentes and losing in losers round 4. But Overtime gets the credit for being the best losers run team this time around. Nicely done to Elemental and friends. Now, that leaves 1 team. Ikarioku, I believe, becomes the first team ever to win Gamma Bracket 2 months in a row. They beat C Drive, who almost won Gamma Bracket 2 months in a row last time. C Drive went on to be the number 4 team at the end of the standings this last lowing. But Ikarioku still really good. They, for whatever reason, they're just not getting the job done on Saturday. But this is back-to-back Sundays now. And again, they're not really playing cupcakes here. They had to beat Audentes, Aquatic Vanguard, and Last Wish. They had to beat them twice. Like, these guys did not play cupcakes in this Gamma bracket. They literally played, on paper, probably the hardest 3 teams here and beat them all. These guys are going to be good. And here's the record for Ikarioku in Gamma bracket the last 2 months per game. 32 wins, 11 losses. If these guys just have a better Saturday, they could be a contender to win low ink. And maybe that day will come sooner rather than later. Beta bracket. The teams I want to talk about here. First off, I want to give a shout out to Revelation. Getting a couple of wins here. This is fine. This is the Rapid Ascent team that I was talking about. Before losing to Arcadia, the team that won the whole thing. Who did Revelation lose to down here? Looks like Surf and Turf knocked them out. But Revelation is a pickup, or no, that you don't make a pickup called Revelation. This has to be a team. This has to be a team. That's a team name. We got players from Project Marigold, 8-Bit, and Arrowhead. 8-Bit's been like a sneaky, really good team, and Arrowhead's been one of the better arrow-themed teams that we have in this tournament. I think there was an Arrows of Life team or Arrows of Nature that played in this one as well. There's more elements showing up. But this seems to be a new team, and in their first lowing did pretty well, getting a couple of wins here in the winner side of Beta Bracket. Scarlet Inc., the last time that we saw Scarlet Inc. play, I believe, was an Epsilon bracket of last month. And they added a player from Joke Raiders this time around. Where did Scarlet Inc. show up? Did they? There they are. Pond Duck Crew beat JoJo in a game 5 before the team from Virginia Commonwealth University knocked them out, and Jelly Squids did them in as well. But Scarlet Inc., another one. Epsilon bracket up to Beta, getting another quality wins. And these are two little squiddly teams that they're going up against here in a very competitive Beta bracket. So this is, again, just proves the point. When you're in a tournament, you're not supposed to win. You play a little bit better. There's not as much pressure on you. Nicely done, the Scarlet Inc. Not going down to Jelly Squids without a fight. I said that I felt like Jelly Squids and Surf and Turf were in the same kind of boat with each other. And I wondered if they had played against each other when I talked about them Friday's episode of the Popcast. Turns out the answer is yes. They did play against each other, and they actually played against each other here in Beta Bracket twice. Jelly Squids beat them 2-1 in the regular stage, winner's side, and in the loser's side of round 5, they played against each other again. Jelly Squids surviving the game 3 yet again. I wonder, like, at some point, maybe in December or January of next year, that this is like a winner's alpha grand finals between these two teams. It's nice that they got a little bit of history against each other. They also both kind of destroyed losers bracket, as you see here. Jelly Squids lost immediately after they beat them, and then they just went on this run and destroyed everybody. All the way up to where Jelly Squids played against Arcadia, who was just not having it today. Arcadia, somebody on my tweet about the Loink preview talked about Arcadia was going to sweep. And Arcadia was an alpha bracket team last month. But, yeah, they might be an alpha bracket team next month as well. What, did they lose 1-2 games this entire tournament? 3, 6, 9, 12, 14, and 2 in a very competitive beta bracket. Now, beta brackets in a double elimination format always produces a champion that does really, really well the next time they play in Lowing. You look back at the beta champs from 2021, back when we did the double elimination beta champions. Those teams the next month were like getting top 5 of Lowing. So I wouldn't be surprised if Arcadia kind of popped off next month. They at least got the swagger to do that, and they got the little bit of the backing down here. Maybe with a 4-team or a 4 Swiss group thing where they can have a little bit of an easier Saturday, they can do that. But them's the break this time around. This was just a tough tournament to qualify for. Finally, Alpha Bracket. And as I kind of alluded to, when you look at this one, going into today, I was like, okay, I don't see some of these teams doing really well. Like, the trend is always, okay, some teams like Squid Strikes or Matter of the Opinion, they do really, really well on Saturday, and then Sunday rolls around, and then you start seeing teams like Photic Zone or Orca Balestra or KO or Secret Elixir or Team Biscuits just kind of yeah, this is our time to actually shine. And then, like, most of those teams will get through, but there'll be one of these teams that will slip past and they'll win the whole tournament because there's no pressure on them. Instead, the Blue Bloods all took L's really early. And Squid Strikes, Octopi, Miro, throw them in there, but Miro kind of was a contender as well. C Drive, Zero Luck Found. Like, this is your top 4 teams. And I didn't talk about a single one of them in the context of winning the tournament on the preview. I'm sorry. I never would have thought this would be the grand finals, much less either one of these teams would be in it, but both with the opportunity of C Drive and Octopi. So let's get through a few other things before we get to that. First off, C Drive. Again, they've been in Gamma Grand Finals 2 months in a row. These guys are just really good on Sunday. You look at what they did here. First, they beat Benthic Brigade on stream. Miro took it to him Game 5. They couldn't beat him then. And then they knock out the Night Sharks. Orca Balestra to a Game 3. Secret Elixir to a Game 3. By the way, Secret Elixir played fantastic this time around. I don't think they felt the pressure or anything like that. I think they just ran into some tougher teams. Just didn't work their favor. And then ultimately lost to Zero Luck Found. This was on stream. I still can't believe they didn't win that tower control game, the force of Game 3 against Zero Luck Found, but they didn't find any luck in their favor, unfortunate for them. But C Drive, just a really impressive run. And this is what they do. When they do better on Saturday and they get the opportunity, they took the advantage of it. Octopi, the team that finished in 3rd place. I was joking about how since there was no stream for the Little Squid League that they won, there wasn't like that moment where the commentator got to go, and Octopi is your Little Squid League 29 champions. I was thinking about that when they were up 2-0 against Zero Luck Found. I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to say 8 days later, and now Octopi is your low ink champion. And it's hilarious because I just did a preview episode talking about how the Little Squid League champion should be nowhere near like being one of the teams that should be contending to win Alpha Bracket in the same month. How bizarre would that have been to win Little Squid League and Low Ink in the span of 8 days? Like that should not happen, and it almost did. The fact that they made 3rd place is still beyond bonkers. And by the way, it's the same exact roster. I looked it up. The roster they brought in Little Squid League, same exact players. It's not like they won Little Squid League and then they're like, all right, let's bring in the players that were banned from Little Squid League. Let's bring them into our roster now and just beef up. No, it's literally the same exact roster in the back-to-back months. What can you say? I figured they'd do really good. I did not think they would do this good. Who all did they beat? Trip Hazard, Zero Luck Found the first time. I said it's hard to beat them twice. Secret Elixir on stream. Squid Strikes gave them a little bit of a beatdown, and then Zero Luck Found reverse swept them, handing Octopi some humble pie there. But yeah, that's still really impressive. Zero Luck Found. Let's talk about them. Yes, these guys were probably on paper the closest to they're probably the least surprising team to make this point of the tournament out of those final top 4. They made top 32 last month. They fell down to beta brackets, but they at least were in contention to win the tournament at some points last time there was a low ink on a Sunday. This time around, they just flipped a different switch and just rode a huge wave of momentum. The problem is, and we saw this in Alpha Bracket all the time, the longer you spend in losers bracket is still, it's still good for you. You're putting yourself in position to win, but you rarely see somebody win in grand finals when they spent this long in losers bracket. There's no breaks. There's no stopping. You're constantly just a few games away from being eliminated from the tournament. It's extremely stressful. You don't get to sit here and wait like Squid Strikes does. It's nonstop. And by the time you get to grand finals, especially when you got to pull off a reverse sweep to get to grand finals, you eventually run out of gas. And I don't think Zero Luck Found ran out of gas until that Rainmaker game where it was just they could have played that for 30 minutes and Zero Luck Found was never going to get lead in that game. But they, outside of that, they looked really impressive in this losers run. Photic Zone, Matter of Opinion, Miro, C Drive, Reverse Sweep on Octopi. Zero Luck Found looked really solid. Shoutouts to Xander. Xander was huge for them. Oh my gosh, that play in Game 5 of Mako Mark Clam Blitz where one of the members for Octopi is stuck in a corner with their crab, and Xander's just beating the devil out of them with the roller. That was absolutely hilarious to see. And that was one of the highlights for the tournament for me, and I'm glad that happened there. By the way, what a horrible tournament to use crab in. It seemed like crabs were just getting abused all day long on stream. And it's nice to see considering what crabs have been doing to the meta since the game first came out. But every time there was a crab, there was a hammer bonking it in the head or a roller smashing them into pieces. It was just, it was nice to see across the board there. So nicely done to Zero Luck Found, but we got to talk about Squid Strikes with a Z in it because this is the team that won it. Yes, the last time we saw Squid Strikes play, they were in Epsilon brackets, losing to Ego My Lego and Sunfish, the chess training arc. How do you go from that to winning low 8? With zero roster changer, I think they added one player from that month to this one, and it was Regal, who to their credit was a huge difference maker for them. They were the sploosh player. But other than that, it was basically the same exact roster. But when you saw how they were playing, you got to figure out, okay, this is why they made such an improvement, because they were making adjustments in the middle of the tournament. I talked about how they played Manta differently each time that they played it. But they were literally learning as they were going through the tournament, and they were making the adjustments. Their strategy game way, way higher than everybody else in this tournament. And I talked about when skill level is even, and it seemed like the skill level was even, especially when they were getting down to those 1v1 things, but their strategy was just another notch above everybody else. And that's why they dominated this tournament. Orca Balestra gave them a run for their money. By the way, it is worth pointing out, this game 5, Orca Balestra did, the game started before they could get their sub in. And that's why they were upset. Understandably that they were upset. There are ways to kind of fix that from a captain perspective. When you're waiting on the team to do a counter pick, bring one of your players out or have all 5 of your players in. So that way the game won't start for sure and you have time to sub out. But still, it's hard to say who would win that one if Orca could get the actual roster that they actually wanted in there. But Squid Strikes' run throughout all of this was just really impressive. And they were, again, the adjustments they made, that's the reason why they were blowing everybody out of the water. And it's when you put that in perspective, it's like, okay, that makes more sense why they could go from dead last almost in Epsilon bracket to win the low ink the next month. For Zero Luck Found, Octopi and C Drive. Here's the problem that they got. And all these other teams that they beat along the way, all these usual alpha blue bloods, they're saying, welcome to the club now. Now you don't get to fly under the radar. Now you're no longer the Cinderella team. Now you're the team that everybody gets the gun for. Some people handle that pressure really well. Others don't know how to handle that pressure and they crumble month after month. That is the category that these teams now find themselves in if they're going to be low ink eligible going forward. Which, who knows, maybe we'll decide to ban everybody there. So hats off to Squid Strikes for escaping, riding out there under the radar momentum all the way through. And now apparently everybody in a non-fictional mid-level is going to be gunning for them. We'll show you your comp doesn't work. All right. Whatever. And that does it for today's episode this week's episode of the Popcast. If you'd like to be a part of the Popcast in any way, feel free to reach out on my socials below. Twitter, Mr._Popgun, Discord, Popgun, #5882, YouTube at 25 Popgun, Twitch at Popgun25, Anchor.fm/Popgun. You will see me again on Thursday and Friday. I'll be doing stuff for Ink TV, commentating one night, Analyst Desk the other one. Make sure you guys stay safe, get vaccinated, wear a mask when applicable, enjoy your life. We'll see you next month.